In a world of real estate, a common phrase you'll often hear, especially if you're renting your own home, is that renting is equal to throwing away your money. Obviously, you work hard for your money, so to hear something like that, it may feel unwanted and it may put you in a bit of a state of doubt. I've personally heard this from family, from friends, from coworkers, from realtors, you name it. But is it true? Is renting really throwing away your money? I want to dedicate this video to really break this down. Are you really better off buying and owning your home? Or is there just a misconception about renting? The obvious argument against renting is that you're not putting your money towards a great investment, which in this case refers to your own home. With so many people talking about the negatives of renting, it can be hard to find value in anything short of home ownership. But what if renting isn't as bad as it's made out to be? What if renting can actually be the smartest financial decision you can make at this point of your life? Well, that's exactly what I want to talk about. I want to address the question that likely led you to watching this video. Is renting really throwing away your money? So next time someone tells you that you're wasting money on rent, you can just go ahead and send them this video. Enough intro, let's cut to the chase. Is renting really a waste of your money? The short answer is no. Renting is not a waste of your money. Rather, you're paying for a place to live, which is anything but considered wasteful. Additionally, as a renter, you're not responsible for many of the costly expenses that are associated with homeownership. Therefore, in many cases, it's actually smarter to rent than buy. In other words, if you're not prepared for the financial responsibilities that come with homeownership, then yes, renting is a smart financial move and not a waste of money. Now, I realize what you're hearing from me right now probably goes against the grain of what you've heard in the past, and that's exactly why I made this video. So I wouldn't blame you if you need a little bit more information and context around renting versus buying. First of all, buying a home isn't just obligating you to a mortgage, which considering today's real estate prices, can be up to $1 million or even more. Now you've got this nice home with so much empty space, you're going to eventually have to fill it up with nice looking furniture. And time to time repairs are going to pop up, which also can be costly. You'll need tools in order to upkeep your home, and sometimes those tools also require their own maintenance like a lawnmower. And if you're going to be in that space for a very long time, from time to time you're also going to be doing very expensive renovations. My point is, you might not be factoring those costs in when you consider what you paid to acquire that asset versus what that asset is worth when you pay off your mortgage. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, someone at some point in your life made you feel guilty about not buying a home sooner and building equity. And let me guess, they probably said something like this: renting? I would just hate to pay someone else's mortgage. There's just one problem. It's just not true. Let me ask you a simple question. Do you consider throwing away money when you go out and eat at a restaurant? You could have just stayed at home and cooked instead. Do you throw away money when you stay at a nice hotel? You could have just stayed at a one-star hotel or just stayed at home and not gone anywhere. Of course not, because you are paying for value, but somehow this logic just falls apart when it comes to looking at real estate. If you're enjoying this video and you find it helpful to talk about renting versus buying, consider hitting that like, subscribe, and thanks button at the bottom of this video. That way you don't miss out on future content, because my goal is to help you understand the world of personal finance. It's about knowing and understanding what your options are. Then why do people believe that rent is a waste of money? Understanding why this myth exists in the first place will help you appreciate the truth when it comes to rent versus buying. One of the biggest reasons out there is propaganda. There's a powerful real estate lobby. The government and our parents all tell us and make us believe that real estate is the best investment of all time. There are even government tax incentives out there that favor buyers. Repeat this for decades and the population starts to blindly believe, rather than running the numbers and doing their own due diligence on what makes the most sense for them. Whether it's in your social media feed, the news, or even HGTV, buying a home is suddenly portrayed as a foolproof way to get rich today. Buy now, buy fast, don't think, no conditions, real estate prices only go up, and there's limited inventory, so act today. Real estate is not always the best investment. It comes with significant phantom expenses. And there are often better investments around, such as simple, low-cost index funds. This is well understood by sophisticated investors, but ordinary regular people have been duped into thinking that the only investment worthwhile is their primary residence. Today we're led to believe that housing should only be looked at as a form of an investment, and therein lies the problem. It's no longer just considered to be a means of shelter as it used to be. Simply put, it is the end-all, be-all investment. In fact, if you sit down at the dinner table with your parents or older relatives, they want the price of homes to stay high. While younger people, they want the price of homes to go down, especially if they're trying to get into the market for the first time. You see, there's this mental tug of war where people believe that housing should go in one direction or the other based on their own personal situation. Another reason why owning property is considered to be the superior investment is the idea that someone out there is getting ahead of you, leaving you behind in this race. Let's face it, people hate the idea that someone is making money off of them, that someone is making a profit based on your situation. In today's world of social media, the concept is that if you buy it, it may cost more, but hey, at least you're not paying your landlord's mortgage. This is often thrown around various online platforms. So everywhere you look, someone is making you believe that even though housing may be expensive, it is the best and only option for you. When you go out to eat at a popular restaurant or fancy dining, are you thinking as you're having that food that, hey, this meal is paying for the restaurant owner's lease on their new Ferrari? I mean, by all means, you could be, but why do we have to repeat this phrase when it comes to real estate? That you're paying someone else's mortgage? Is it because that you own your own home and you want to push that agenda onto someone else because you feel like they're making a mistake? When it comes to personal finance, everyone's situation is different, and I'm sure you don't know everyone's inner story. Let's stop using that phrase that renting is considered to be a waste of money. You're not going to go up to someone who's doing manual labor and you're going to tell them to quit their job, stop wasting their time, and go become a doctor instead. The next major misconception about owning a property is just simple math. There is a belief that let's say you buy a home for 500K and you sell it for 700K. The thinking is you just made 200 quick and tidy profit. That is just straight up false. You're probably not factoring in maintenance, you're probably not factoring in taxes, you're not factoring in legal costs, realtor costs, or other phantom expenses. And on top of that, you're not even comparing your ROI, return on investments, to other comparable investments. When it comes to investing in any asset class, you need to make an apples to apples comparison. Also, did you know that real estate prices can actually go down? Following a playbook that was used in the past may have worked back then, but doesn't mean the same rules apply today. Buying a house was in general a good thing for most boomers. There were just also fewer investment options like low-cost index funds that were widely available to the public back in the 70s or even 80s. Therefore, those stuck in the past are singing the same song, trying to pass on the same lessons to millennials or even Gen Z who are facing unaffordable housing options. Stagnant wages and better investment options exist today, or even parallel investment options outside of just owning a single residential property. This is the problem when people are recommending something but don't understand how it works. They just keep repeating the same thing over and over again, even though the situation has drastically changed. Whether you're considering renting or buying, make sure you check out your credit score and understand what it means for your own personal financial situation. Check out the link in the description below for Borrowwell, a free way to check your credit score, and it only takes less than 3 minutes. And while you're at it, you'll also find links to free groceries and amazing sign-up bonuses worth hundreds of dollars for trying out services like Wealthsimple, Question, or even KOHO. Give it a shot. So far in this video, we've talked about why people believe that owning is always better than renting. Now let's talk about the second part of why I made this video. Is renting really a waste of money? And I touched on this earlier in the video and I said no, it's not. Let's dive into the long answer and specific reasons on why renting is not a waste of money. To start, when someone tells you that renting a home is always more expensive than owning a home, they're not telling you the full story. Sure, when you compare the cost of a mortgage just to the cost of renting, the numbers might make you believe that yes, owning is better than renting. However, there are all sorts of other considerations and factors that are missing from this equation. When you own your own property, you'll have to factor in repairs, mortgage insurance, mortgage interest, landscaping costs, rental costs, closing costs, legal costs, upgrades, and more, and this list goes on. And seriously, some of these costs will cost you maybe thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. On the other hand, renting is what you see is what you get. Nearly all the expenses you have to pay for will be laid out in front of you up front. At most, on top of your rent, you'll have to pay renter's insurance or a security deposit, and maybe you'll buy some small furniture, some inexpensive supplies just to keep up with day-to-day living. But what I'm trying to say is your expenses are generally capped when it comes to renting versus a whole host of other costs that will just keep popping up when you own your own home. And if your work or industry requires you to move around every few years, then renting is a great option. Why? Because at most you'll be locked into a lease for a year or two. Plus, in most cases, if you have to terminate your lease early, maybe you pay a small penalty and that's about it, and you're good to go. If you end up changing jobs often or your role or your industry, you don't want a complicated move every time you make that change. You want things easy for you. And renting gives you that flexibility, that option to go with you. Renting does give you certain flexibility. Now, when you own a home, the process of moving is much more different, time consuming, and costly. First, you will have to prepare your home for the sale. Next, you'll have to find a good realtor and get the word out that your house is on the market. That part of the process was fairly easy when the market was hot, but not so more today. Then you'll also have to go through appraisals, inspections, negotiations, and closing costs. Sure, you may make a bit of money on the sale, but if flexibility is what you're looking for, then renting is a great option. Another underrated benefit of renting is having access to amenities, especially if you're renting a condo. You'll have access to a pool, a gym, common community space, a playground, and much more. And the best part is, in most cases, it won't cost you anything extra, especially as part of your rent. All you have to do is just go up and down the elevator and make use of those amenities. Buying isn't for everyone, even if you can afford it. It's never throwing away money to put a roof over your head or for your family. Ask yourself this: are you truly in a financial position to buy? Because likely, buying a home isn't the only expense you have in life. If you can save, you're also saving for an emergency fund for your child's education and for your own retirement. Can you really stay on track of all these goals on top if you buy? Do you have enough cash to allocate to all these other expenses? Because if buying a home is going to stress you out financially and mentally, maybe you need to think twice. Also, what does your gut say? While yes, buying a home is a financial transaction, but money should not be the only factor. If it doesn't feel right and you're not ready for that level of responsibility, putting all the financials to a side, that's totally fine. You're okay. Make the decision that makes you happy. Let's summarize everything we've talked about today. Buying isn't necessarily better than renting. Same reason, renting isn't necessarily better than buying. There are so many more factors involved. You need to consider things like your location. Are you really ready to buy a house financially and or mentally? Also, why do you want to buy a home? Is it to raise a family? Is it for an investment opportunity? Is it to buy a fixer-upper and renovate it? Or is it just purely for desire or because of pressure from family and friends? My advice, run the numbers, get educated, but never ever say that you're wasting money on rent. Promise me. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you had some good takeaways from this video. And make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and thanks button on the bottom of this video. Take a moment to check out all the amazing sign-up bonuses and discounts offered in the description of this video through all my affiliate partners. Some of these deals are worth hundreds of dollars in free money. That's it for now. I'll talk to you in the comments section.